Hello, everybody. I hope somebody's out there right now. I sent the message out just before class, hadn't realized that it wasn't out before then. Um, it was before 10:30, I believe, when I finished the message, and I did write the email, and I must have missed hitting the send button. So it did not go out until right before class. Tatting Muse, your name is just not in my head right at the moment. I'm so glad you're here. I was just writing a Happy New Year message here. I hope your New Year's starting out great. I know mine's going well so far, except for forgetting to hit the send button to send out the emails this morning. So I hope you're ready to start our designing journey again this year. Um, okay, I'm just checking my Facebook to or my um, YouTube studio, make sure that you were seeing me. Hi, Katia. Oh, it's so good to see you, too. I planned to go to your class yesterday and just totally missed it. Oh, shoot. I need to go grab one more pillow that I have in the other room. I'll be right back. As long as I'm standing, I got to show you. It's too low for you to see it mostly, but while I'm still standing here, this is my, oops, I can't even get it in the picture. Oh, it's on the other side. Let's see if I can get it in the picture here. Get the right side. I think I'm just going to take it off. It's too low anyway. I put it on this morning because it always makes me feel happy. Here we go. This is my little pin with all these little happy face. I got this. I know it kind of has a resemblance of Minions, but I got this years and years and years ago, before Minions were even known or born or whatever. So, you hear my cracking. I'm trying to get my chair pulled up now that I have a chair that puts me a little higher, which is better for me to type with. Although I'll be talking mostly today rather than typing. Thank you. Yes, yes. I love Russian dolls. I have one set of them that was given to me by someone who was from Russia, and I've always loved Russian dolls. So, Narsha, welcome to class. And Happy New Year to you, too. I hope you're having a great start to your new year, too, Katia. Tatting Muse, I know you, I know you. Please remind me of your name. Oh, every year this poor brain just doesn't remember things as well. In fact, I was trying to remember what we even talked about at the last class, and I can't remember. And I didn't take a chance. I didn't take the time yesterday to look up and read my or watch my previous video. Oh, Katia, so you're signed in. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, well, I have to tell you, my brain always goes a mile a minute, and it's so tiring sometimes. But part of that is that I start thinking about class, and there's so many ideas. It's like, what do I choose to talk about this next week? And I go back and forth and back and forth. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it didn't connect in my brain, Katia. Um, oh, it's Katia from the UK. You did say that up above. I guess I went to get my pillow and didn't read that. I tell you, well, what I was going to say is every year, yeah, we will. We'll get back into it. Oh my gosh, my brain just needs to catch up with. Hi, Janella. Great to see you again. Narsha, it's nice to meet you in class. Since you're new in our class, I'm wondering um, if you've designed before, if you're brand new to it, and how long you've been tatting. You know, she mentioned above, she's the needle tatting teacher, so she taught her class yesterday. And Martha, hello. It's wonderful to see you here. Happy New Year. I hope your New Year's starting out well. It was so wonderful to see you in August at Palmetto's Tat Days, Martha. So I'm excited you've come to class. Today's going to be a general talk about inspiration. Hi, Mary. Okay, okay. Well, I'm glad you stopped in to say hello and Happy New Year. As I just said, today's going to be a general class, talk about inspiration and getting started. And there's a few different things that I've thought about for this year. First of all is, and I've got two different papers here. It seems like it's hard to get everybody working on a particular project. So this year what I want to do is give you some challenge choices. And bye-bye, Mary. Hope to see you next week. What I'd like to do is I'm going to keep working on the paisley design that we talked about before the break. We'd started working on paisleys. And it's such a versatile design. I want to stay doing that for the rest of you, if that didn't interest you, I know that Taz Neem, um, she is okay with me shortening her name, um, really got into the paisley and starting and making a paisley design. And so that's one choice right there. Springtime, I usually suggest a spring theme, but not everyone wants to make the same thing. So the challenge is this year, the first one, firstly, I want to read this interesting definition of adventure. What is adventure? I consider um, a tatting design journey to be an adventure. It's experimentation, it's redoing, it's associations. Um, and someone asked me once, what do you mean by an association in tatting? And I said, and it's how all inventions happen, really, and new products, everything. You see one thing, and it can be anything. It can be a color, it can be a shape, it can be an idea or a theory. And then something else comes into your mind from maybe something from previous experiences or maybe something new. And you get an aha moment. What about this? What if this would work? Or would it even work? And to me, that's exciting. Tatting design can be frustrating. I think Martha can tell us about that. I often use one of her designs. Um, it's her wing, is it a winged dragon? I believe, Martha, to show progress in a design. And she shows you on her website step by step the different steps, how she has created. Yes, exactly. That's what I believe and feel, Katia. It is an adventure. Um, I'm kind of going a little here and there. So let me, before I show you that, go back to the, oops, I lost my definition of an adventure because I thought it was really um, um, fun. I'm going to kind of read it. The three words used for adventure are unusual, and unusual in tatting design is working with, is what gives your design originality. Maybe it's a stitch that isn't made often. Maybe it's your particular style. And if you don't know what your style is, we're going to talk about style and developing your style. And it has to do with likes and dislikes. So unusual, daring, and the first challenge is kind of a daring one. And exciting, says eager for adventure is one definition, and both words come from the Latin for about to happen. And adventure always has an element of the unknown. And that's what a design is when starting. You're going into the unknown of how can I put my tatting elements together. And you don't know what you're going to get sometimes. Sometimes what you're aiming for is not what you actually get when you start, which is not a bad thing. It can be a very good thing. And it also says it means going where you haven't been before. Try new things, experiment, try things that you haven't seen anyone else do before, but maybe you think, well, what if I do this? Maybe it'll work for me. Do things you've never done, even if you don't know how it's going to turn out. And every design won't turn out to be a success, but it's still a learning process and a discovery of different things. What works, maybe you'll discover something that does work. You're always learning more. The other it said it could be possibly dangerous. I don't consider tatting dangerous unless you're stabbing yourself with your um, sharp tatting crochet hooks that you use to join or something. But it says a tripper experience or the excitement produced by such an activity. They went on an adventure for hunting for treasure. We're hunting for treasure in the designs we create. So I just thought that was fun and to actually look at the definitions. Hi, Kathleen. Welcome and Happy New Year. Great to see you back again. So the first challenge we're going to do for this year, we will, throughout the class, for anyone who's new here, we will be discussing tatting elements themselves and special techniques, ways we can use them in designs. We will be talking about you would add perseverance with those words. Yes, yes. So we are kind with ourselves when it gets hard. Yes, perseverance is definitely very needed so that you can get through the frustrating times, but keep trying. Everything that you try when you're doing a design isn't going to work right. And it sometimes is frustrating to find what else will work, what will make it work. Sometimes even if you've got a pre-sketched design idea in mind or a picture you're using to try design from, now I just lost that train of thought. It can be frustrating, but if you have perseverance, you can work through it, and it does work. So we'll talk more and more about that as we go, as we develop designs and study design. We'll talk about the elements and principles, which are used in every field of design, architecture, engineering. There is a process, and it's usually has 5 to 7 steps, and we'll use that as a structure to help you, especially as a new designer, and even as an experienced designer. This will help you think about the process in a step-by-step way. They're guidelines, not laws. You don't have to use them. You don't have to, they don't always go in order when you're working on something. We'll be talking about those. We'll definitely be talking about one of the main elements. Elements are the structural building blocks, kind of like your tatting elements of ring and a chain and this technique or that. They are the things you use to develop your design. And then there are principles of design, which are the things like balance, harmony. Well, harmony is a result, but shape, line, color, all those things. Now, color is very versatile. Color is often considered an element, a thing, but the values of color, the shades, and all are things that you can manipulate. Principles are rhythm and pattern and repetition and things like that that you use to arrange your elements, your building blocks. Elements are the lines, the shapes, as I said, the color, which is always kind of one of the things that artists themselves disagree on, whether it's an element or a principle. But as we go, we're going to be learning about all those things, and we're going to be looking at samples. So that's all going to come as we go. I want to get you started out. We're going to start talking next week about lines and shapes. And of course, lines, the first thing that uh, comes up in tatting are chains, and shapes are a ring, a teardrop shape. So this is all part of tatting design. Now those are things you don't, um, a lot of tatters don't even think about those things, um, because they have kind of developed an idea of them through the years. You know, we're born creative. Everybody has creativeness. Not everybody um, follows it through in a particular field. But if you've ever just added a spice that wasn't called for in a recipe, you're being creative. Even as babies, we're creative. We have to learn, find ways to crawl, and if you watch babies, it's like riding a bike. Um, it doesn't come right at first, but the perseverance, keep trying, and you're going to make it. Um, so the first thing, we are going to talk about color this year. We started talking about it last year, and there are some easy ways that I'll show you about color. So the first challenge is going to be using a color, a particular color. And I have got so many windows open. Let's see if I can find one. I know the first thing, does anybody have any questions they want to ask specifically about this year? Suggestions or comments or something you'd really like to work on yourself? And Martha, I would love you to jump in um, about how you actually start your tatting designs. And there are many different ways to start a tatting design. Um, it's not one particular way. And as a new tatting designer, as you try and work through designs with us, you're going to start figuring out what um, method works best for you. And sometimes the way you start can just depend upon the particular item. If you're making something that you're going to teach later, I mean, you have a set, usually have to pick out of a set kind of a structure, like, are you going to teach a technique, or are you going to just teach a design, or you want to think about, is this going to be a decorative project, a functional project? If you're going to put it on a towel or something, or like cloth napkins or anything, they're going to be washed a lot. So that's the functional part. And all your decisions on how like how close together maybe, how dense or far apart. Denseness is another element. Texture in design, and denseness is part of texture. And so I know that Martha, you often start with a sketch. Do you always start with a sketch? I like to start with a sketch. I start with sketches all the time. Jane Eberall, or Eberall, I'm not sure, she starts usually from just a picture. Like if she's making a dachshund dog, she would find a picture of a dog, and she just starts tatting and starts from just the picture. And that's her style, her main style of beginning. Now, like I said, every designer doesn't start every design the same way. And you might just start with a piece you've already done that reminds you of something. And where you get that inspiration from for that design, if it's not something that you have to do a specific kind. I haven't seen any answers yet, so And nothing that anybody can think of, that a shape or anything, something you'd like to start designing. Um, I'm going to show you the color here if I can pull up. And this challenge is kind of a daunting one. So let's start with this first challenge and then we'll continue talking a little more in general. This is the mocha brown, but let me show you. Pantone every year showcases a color of the year. And the color of the year is a collaborative of many different people, and oftentimes the color of the year can be decided 5 years ahead of time. This isn't something that's just decided the year before or at the last minute or anything. It's a collaborative group who decides on the color of the year. And this year it's a really different color because it's almost more of a neutral. And I think a lot of times you look at this, oh, I got to put you on my screen. Okay. I'll get back in the hang of this. Here is the Pantone color of the year. You start different ways, often with a doodle sketch. Martha says, if you're making a real thing like an animal, you start looking at pictures to get the shape. Wonderful, Martha. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and I want you all to not be afraid of, as Martha says, doodling a sketch. And that's what sketches are. They can be extremely rough. And in the beginning, before you refine them some, it may be only you who can look at your doodle and even figure out what it is. They're rough. You don't have to learn to draw to sketch. And yes, artists and writers do still write ideas on napkins. Because wherever you are, if you don't have a little sketchbook or something with you, I encourage people to carry a little sketchbook with them. Maybe just one of those tiny, tiny little spiral bounds. Even if it's got lines in it, just a little, ruled line pages inside of it rather than blank pages. But a camera. Everybody carries their phone nowadays. You have a camera. Take pictures of anything inspirational. In here, this color, mocha color, which is, I'm going to challenge you to use that in something, in trying something this year. Or at least to look for it. You're going to see this in clothing. You're going to see it in house things. You're going to see it, maybe there'll even be a new car that'll come out in that color, because all those different industries follow the color of the year. Oh, that's a wonderful goal, Katia. I hope that we'll get more needle tatting designers. That would be wonderful. So, mocha color, but it almost is a neutral kind of a color. It says a global mood of connection, comfort, and harmony. Colors have moods. You feel colors in emotional feelings. They draw out colors. And it says this is a warming brown hue imbued with richness. It's a color of nature. And Pantone.com is where you find the color of the year. Also, you will find it coming out. Look at the close. But when you look at the color palettes, now here is a very pretty neutral tone. It's got some pinkish tones. The cream tan, the second one, is a pinkish tone. Sirocco, um, Baltic amber. And here is a pastel color palette of colors that go together. And I think it really is quite beautiful. So if you're a pastel color person, look at that beautiful green and the blue and the viola. Those three together, look how well they harmonize together. And we'll be talking later about how they fit on the color wheel. Everything I talk about today we're going to go into specifically as we go on with the classes. And there's your mocha mousse. The other thing to remember too is with color is that if you look at every one of those, one of the easiest way to combine colors is if they are all on the same row in the color wheel. I don't have my color wheel right in front of me to show you, but notice how these are all kind of the same softness in color, the same tonal value, the same range. And where it's often said to only use 2 or 3 colors, or 2 main colors and a contrasting color, or if you're working in a totally I'm losing words already today. Well, anyway, just look at they're the same tone, the same lightness, the same range of lightness. And that's why you look here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 colors, and gardenia, which is almost white. That many colors, and you'll see some designs like, whoops, I'm sorry, I don't mean to go back and forth. I'm probably making you seasick, some of you. Yes, all the neutral colors are beautiful together. And but if you see something like, you think of children's primary colors, or a rainbow, the rainbow colors, you think of rainbow colors, they're all kind of the same saturation of colors together. Now there's pure color, pure saturation of the colors. And they all go together if you put them together, if they're kind of the same value, the same saturation. And that all these things I'm giving you an overview, will become more, we'll point them out and look at samples as we go. Look, they're showing a lot of, it's a very kind of a pinkish mocha. Mocha can also be a little darker. Oh, see, all the previous colors of the year have been very, very kind of much brighter colors, not that calming neutral tone at all. The next thing I want you to look at is look at here. And Handy Hands, here is a mocha dark brown. It's out of stock. That's, to me, an unusual color to be out of stock, unless people are already buying it. But I think it really is a beautiful color. Your challenge is to use this color and work with it. Now, if you're not going to be actually tatting, some of the people I know in the class, you just want to watch and listen and learn, and you're not actually following through. So, one of the things you can do is start putting together some samples. And it can be if you're into fabric, go to fabric stores, samples of fabric. You're going to see clothing with different combinations in the stores. Um, you may not be able to, I don't know nowadays with the copyright thing if people get upset when you take pictures of an item in a store. That may be the case. Um, so you may have to not take pictures there. You can take pictures in nature, but you can always find things online. And one of the things I want to tell you, because we're looking at the Pantone Color of the Year online, here we're looking at a picture online. The colorations there are different color modes. What you see on a TV screen or your monitor and anything like that, anything digital, are um, combinations of red, blue, and green. Three colors. And it's projected light. And that combined together makes all the colors that you see on your screens. Now, if you print out something from your screen, what you get out of your printer is with printer ink. And so what is printed on your printout may not exactly match. Like if you printed out this ball of thread, this page, it may not look exactly the same color because it's a different media. This is digital. Printed things are done with printer's ink, which is a CMYK colorings. And that's cyan, magenta, yellow, and black is added to help with getting a true black, because a true black isn't a combination that you can get from just your cyan, magenta, and yellow. And that's something you're already familiar with because of getting ink for your printers. There's a difference in oil paints, watercolor paints, and acrylic paints. All those are made with different pigments and different base materials. So the colors you get don't always mix the same, which is why sometimes you can get muddy colors that you didn't expect when you're painting. But you can get a very, very good idea from everything. Fabrics, depending upon the fabric, what the fabric's made out of, they take dyes differently. So color can be simple and yet complicated. The simplest way to find color combinations, and I haven't had a chance to look yet, one of the great ways to put together colors is to get more than one. I've got Handy Hands catalogs from different years. And so I can cut them out and cut the individual colors out and play with them together, all those little squares. And see different combinations. And I know if we go let me go back. if I go back one step here, I should go back and get here. When you want to start combining colors, let's go way up to the top. You know, Handy Hands always tells you here's falling leaves. Look at the colors in there. These are colors you could put together. You've got colors right there that you know work together. So if you find one you like, you can just go and get the colors that work with it. And notice down here, category tags. Number 10, fall inspired. Fall 10, oranges, reds, yellows. And the variegateds, if you have one of their catalogs, you can also see which of the colors go with which of the variegated colors. I'm going to look here, which I hadn't done before. Tropical fruit, let's see. There's bound to be one that's got a mocha in it, maybe the desert. Oh, the color falling leaves? Yes, I have that myself and like it. This one looks like it might have, it has oranges. That could almost be a mocha color in there, the darkest shade of that. And there you have another color combination. So even without a color wheel, you can find color combinations that work together easy, and especially right in the threads that you may be buying to make your products. I mean, this to me is gorgeous. So I hope I'm inspiring you some with this. Explore color themes, color.adobe.com. I was hoping they might even have a new color combination, and I don't see one. Create color themes. Here's, you can, a color creator here. And we will eventually talk about those. This is a book I have. And I have Color Harmony 2. And I do want to show you that. So, and it is, you probably don't want to just go out and buy this book. The paperback is $25.73, but I do know that you can find, these are the Color Harmony ones, which are good too, but they range, World of Book Used, $3.39, eBay, $4.14. So if you are interested in having a color book, this is a really nice one. And I'm going to leave you with that on the screen for just a moment. And are there any questions or comments so far? And as you've been doing, you're welcome. Our classes, our in-person classes here, are small enough that you don't have to wait for me to ask questions or anything. Just jump in and I'll see it and answer it. So I'm going to grab the book. Oh, it is right here beside me, so I just have to switch to my screen. Switch to my face so you see me again. I'm going to hold this book up. Here's my Color Harmony 2 book. And this book doesn't have a real, it has a color wheel on the back. And if we look closely, that mocha brown looks like it's either going to be or I think it's going to be right in, you can't see my finger. The red's at the top, and look over to the third to the right section of oranges. And I think there's a mocha green, the third from the outside, in from there. The other thing I want to do is there's 12 months of the year, and there are 12 different color sections on here. So we're starting with the orange section and studying mocha this month. We'll take one every month. And we'll start with that orange one. If I turn here, we'll put that at the top. So that's where we'll start. And we'll talk about the color wheel and using the color wheel itself. You see all the rings around of color? Each ring all the way around is what I was talking about. If you took every color, all 12 colors in one of those rings, they could work together because they are the same saturation and shade and tone. And the lightness and darkness of them is kind of a mid-range on the biggest section. So all those colors by the ring, the third ring in, you've got your mocha brown, and look, there's the lavender we've seen in there. There's going to be, the pinks that we've seen in there and the oranges, all in that same ring. And that's what you saw in that color, first, that color combination and Pantone. Another thing we're going to do this year is we're going to talk a little more about lines, which is chains. And talking about that, we have a sample here. If I can find it. Oh, it's one of my, here we go. When we ended last year, we were looking at the pointy chains, and we looked at the spiral knot stitch, and I'm not sure if we did talk about the vapor stitch, but this is from, I think if I pronounce it right, it's Tasmanique, but I call her Tasneem in class. This is what she sent in, and she was making a pointy chain with a vapor stitch in the second half stitch. Both these are made out of a cord. It looks bigger. I don't know if it's a size 3 or bigger. And that's what I use for samples, a size 3, when I really want to see the difference. And we'll actually talk about this too. And see, these are just small samples. And for sending in your homework to me, and you can send it directly to me at sktattingclasses.com. It doesn't have to be a big design. It doesn't have to be anything big. It doesn't have to be perfect. Your stitches don't have to be perfect or anything. But please send in samples of what you're working on. She said, this piece of cord has become a good friend of mine. I do and undo again to try different stitches, getting a clear concept of vapor stitch, spiral knot stitch, and dual cap stitch for pointy chains. She noted, and this is the other thing, keep notes on everything you do. Spiral knot stitch adds legs to the half stitch. And if you look up here, you can see where the legs are. It's all just legs. So the half stitches have legs. Vapor stitch puts curls on leg of half stitch. And if you can see down here um, in this second one, oh, maybe I ought to pull that open. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, you are still looking. You're not looking at my screen. Sorry about that. I'm sure somebody just has mentioned it to me. Um, Let me look, get your screen view here. Here we go. Notice here on the base all the legs all the way across. Vapor stitch in second half stitch. And you can see how it's raised here and does have a couple, well, it looks like 2 coils around in this first one, and I think 2 in that second. Now this isn't exactly a point, but maybe it's the kind of point you want. One of the things we hadn't discussed yet when we were working with pointy chains and making corners is how and where are you going to add picots, whoops, excuse me, if this isn't your outer row, or if you want picots, decorative picots. I'm not sure. That would be the next step in this, is to figure out where and how you can add picots. So if you use it later, you'll know ahead of time how that works. And that's what's wonderful about having samples. I've done other videos where you've seen my sample books. And right now, oh, that's what fell, my container with all my samples in it that I have not documented yet. But let's look at this second one now, where she said it puts curls in the legs. And you can see the legs don't look regular down here. Like in the top sample, see how regular they are in this sample, but they're not in this one. And you see some like coils down there. And this is the thing to do, is try different ways of things. Try the knot stitch and try the vapor stitch and try these different things. Can we make corners out of these? And the thing is, if we make a corner, like say on this top picture or the second one, excuse me, I have one of those little bumps in my brain that didn't want to go on. And it's gone. Okay. Just so you know, I, I haven't noticed any symptoms of dementia or anything, thank heavens. But I know it's normal for everybody. Things just, you can't quite bring it to mind. Um, I will be in, what, 3 months? I'll be 77, so it does happen more often than I'd like it to. Another thing she says here is spiral knot is done before flipping, whereas the vapor stitch is done after flipping. I'm not quite sure. Okay, spiral knot stitch adds legs to the half stitch. Okay, oh, I know what I was going to say. It came back. Okay. Notice on both these stitches, when you're just doing chains on either side, obviously you're getting a curve. And if you want a straight line, sometimes if you're only doing 3 or 4 stitches and you're not tightening your tension up super tight, you can get a straighter look on your chains. But when you're making a design, that's kind of hard to, um, everybody has a little different tension, and that's kind of hard to explain in a pattern to someone. I mean, you can say, keep your tension a little looser so you don't have the chain curve. Doing anything like that is going to make that piece a little more, um, not floppy, but a softer, what would be less than floppy, but still not uh, snug, just a little looser tension. Um, so you might want to consider, especially if you're going to have a straighter section, at doing something like balanced double stitch. Which brings us to one of the things as a designer you need to know all the stitches available. Now, not all at once, but gradually learn more stitches and at least learn like a balanced double stitch will make you a straighter chain. I'm not going to say straight. It should be a straight chain. There's also the balanced double stitch is Ruth Perry. I know Jane Eberl has another one. I'm not going to talk. There's some controversy on those, but I can't think of right now what hers is called. But you're going to want to develop a good knowledge of stitches. Try new stitches. Try specialty stitches. One of the things that's not out there are enough new patterns with specialty stitches in them. And that's what can make your designs change them into much more original designs. Now you can't just copy somebody else's design and stick in a specialty stitch. That's still not going to be original, but that's one thing that can help add to originality. And we'll even talk more about this later, but we're going to start, and this is one of the things we're going to talk about is different kinds of chains for the rest of this month, which basically is only one more class. And then the following month, we'll start talking about yeah, it can be overwhelming, I know. I always feel like I hope I'm giving people enough, but then I know sometimes it's too much to take in. But that's one of the reasons why I do repeat things. We'll talk about these same things over and over again as we develop our own designs and as we look at samples of other people's, so that each one of the things I'm talking about today is going to start becoming more clear as you go. And so that's kind of my philosophy. If you feel that doesn't work for you, let me know, please. Anytime you feel like you're going too fast, could we do this over? We can always do something and review it the following week. I'm very flexible in that way. Um, I can always save a topic that I have planned for another week. So if you want to continue, or if you're having problems, if one of you is having a problem with something, there's a good chance others of you are. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I don't consider any question a stupid question or a dumb. Those words do not resonate with me. They don't fit in my vocabulary when it comes to designing. There are differences, and there's different ways to do things. Um, but nothing is wrong. Everything is a learning experience. And maybe what you might consider, oh, that wasn't right, it might be the perfect thing to do in another design. So, and asking questions if you have a question, no matter how simple it is or how maybe it sounds silly to you, um, ask it anyway, because there's probably at least one other person and more who have the same question. And sometimes too, uh, when you're teaching, you use words and explain things according to your own experience. You explain things according to your background, your cultural language, the language of your part of the country you're in. Um, and so when I explain things, it might not be the exact words that make sense for you. You all hear things and interpret things according to a lot of things in your life. The same things I mentioned in mine, even different parts of the country, of a country or of a state sometimes have different dialects, have different ways of different words that they use for the same thing. When I moved out here to Colorado, everybody was always talking about soda, and I'm thinking, soda, soda. To me, that's soda water. Just the clear, bubbly soda. I'm from West Michigan. We always called everything pop. And coming out here, if you say something about pop, they look at you like, what, do you want to hit somebody or something? I was like, no. Whether it was Coke or Pepsi or Cola, we all called it all, because it's, where I'm from, it's called soda pop. And we just always took the word pop. Other parts of the country, they only say soda, and they don't just mean soda water, they mean all flavors of it. So, so teaching and learning and all is not straightforward. Different languages. I know Katia can relate to that. Her native language is it French Canadian? I think, or just plain French. Um, and so we all say things and interpret things differently. And even if you're growing up as a kid, you all are growing up in the same little and teaching. Yes, I know it's a challenge for you. I just can't imagine having that challenge on top of the challenge of teaching, Katia. Um, as I was going to say too, even kids, you grow up in the same neighborhood, that you go to the same school, and you play post office, where you one person tells another or tells another, um, and next thing, what comes out of it at the end is not even related to what the message was to begin with. And the same thing, if you take a photograph or a picture and you pass it around a group of 8 to 10 people, it would be very rare and ask, what do you see in this picture? Everybody's going to probably have a different answer. Oh, that would help some. Oh, but that sure is a challenge, Katia. So even looking at pictures, people see different things. And that's where we get into just looking at something and seeing something. And sometimes people, even those words, will use in different ways. To me, looking at it is what we do every day. We look at everything in our surroundings. But you don't actually always see what you're looking at. And that is where um, designing comes in. We're going to learn to see in shapes. Artists see in shapes. And we're going to talk about how you do that, how you see in shapes. The basics of design of all kinds, and tatting design is especially a based in shapes. And a shape can be a single thing, like the teardrop shape of a ring, or it's almost an oval if you're doing a split ring, or if you're combining things into the three rings you make into a clover. And every one of the topics I've talked about today, we will be going into in more depth as we go. And this year, because color is so much fun, and a lot of people just want to understand color better and know about it, even though we're not, I don't, well, I don't know who of you are, might be uh, dyeing threads or anything. I know I haven't, although I've dyed other things. Um, we'll talk about color because it just makes it exciting. And we'll start out with the oranges and the mocha color and browns and go into yellows, which hopefully as spring comes, those of us who have winter right now will be seeing more sunshine and then the spring colors. And so, are there any questions about what we talked about today? Anything you in particular would like to talk about next week? Oh, I didn't finish the list of, let me do that before we go. Okay, other than mocha for your challenges, you can pick another color, and a color that really, your favorite color that appeals, the color that appeals to you the most, that you like the most, a color that would work for a design you have in mind. Does anyone have a design in mind right now that they want to try? Or a shape that you want to design in? Or your challenge could be, it could change every month. It could be learning a new stitch, a specialty stitch, a stitch you don't know. That could be your challenge. Um, when it comes to color, it might be just putting together some color combinations that you like, and we can talk about and figuring out which color family they belong to. We haven't talked about that yet, but that will be coming too. Um, I think probably what I'd like to do is start with color every week for the first maybe 15 minutes. And then we'll get in to the topic for the day. So it could be that. Your challenge could be new samples for your samples books. And we'll talk about all the ways you can. I've done that before, and so I don't know whether to maybe just do a live class with it or if you want to go over it again. The different ways you can keep your sample and sample books. Um, if there's something we've talked about before in a class and you want to go over it, let me know. And jump right in here. If any of this brings up a question or a suggestion or a comment, you need to design a Chatelaine. You have plenty of drawings, and now you need to figure out how to do it. Oh, that's wonderful, Katia. I'd love it if we could if you'd share an idea or two with us too. If you have plenty of drawings, that would be wonderful to talk about. What's wonderful to discuss in class sometimes is a design, and everybody can look at it and say, well, how do you think you might start designing it, or what stitch might you use? When I used to teach, when we used to have classes in Chatsy, and it was all just typing to each other, and nothing verbal. But a lot of times we did that. And in a way, it was easier than here because I can't have you, I mean, it's not easy to have you, you can't talk back to me. But this class is different than like the Tammy's regular tatting classes or Katia, your needle classes. In this class, it's good to, it's not interrupting to jump in with an opinion. And we used to have classes where somebody would say a design and I'm having a problem with this or how would I do that? And we would just toss out ideas, all of us would. And so um, it was really, really good learning experience for all of us. The sharing of ideas, it's the um, getting the ideas flowing in each of us. And sometimes that would even come up with someone else saying, oh, I know what I want to do. I want to do this and use this. So I would love to have our classes go more like that, where you guys are jumping in with ideas and suggestions and much more of a group activity rather than just listening to my teaching. And here I've got off the challenges again. Um, or a challenge that you come up with yourself you'd like to do. And only if it's only ideas on paper or only ideas in your head, um, that can be your challenge or your homework, whatever you want to call it. Um, so that's going to be it for today. If you have any ideas, suggestions, or anything, email me, sktattingclasses@gmail.com. I hope you've all enjoyed the class. Um, and I hope to see all of you back next week. Now, remember, my format this year is different. Again, I hate to say this, but I was on the verge of whether or not this is going to be my year to totally retire or not. But even though I think to myself, I'm going to totally retire, just do my own things this year, it seems like sometimes like this time it was the last minute. It was last Saturday and I finally started thinking, I need to keep going. You know, there are people enjoying this. You tell me you're learning from me. So I thought I can do this, but I just want to do it on one day a week and not not the one day a week where I do both classes, one in the afternoon, one in the evening. So today and next week is about this design. Oh, thanks, Katia. I'm glad it's always, uh, you always consider it a blessing. Oh, you appreciate it, Narsha. Oh, wonderful. And I look forward to the next class with you too, with all of you next week. Now, the following week and the week after that, at this same time, is going to be the Diagramming with Inkscape class. You're welcome, Janella. Thank you for wanting me to. You guys are, this is what keeps me going. It really is knowing that you're enjoying it, you're learning something that keeps me wanting to keep going myself. So, and if you want to jump into the design class, we will do some basic things every week so you could start new. Katia, I know you are, and I think Janella, you too have worked in diagramming before, but there are a lot of students who are not with us in these live classes, but they are watching the replays. So I'm talking to all of you too. Uh, it's not, even if you haven't done anything like diagramming before or using a program like Inkscape, you can start out simple I will start with some beginning things every week, and then in the later part, yeah, so refresher's always good. Everybody tells me that, and each year someone says, I really like a refresher, I need it. So I hope to see you next week and in the diagramming class. And so, oh, I guess you're looking at it just a yucky screen. So thanks for coming. Happy New Year. And I will see you all next week. I get my hand in there and wave. Bye. See you all.